Merry Christmas, everybody, from the clan of the Grey Wolf. This is the Commodore with the Weekly Ringer number 2. Now, the first thing I want to do is say that I am so incredibly happy with the response for the first Ringer. It really surpassed my expectations. You all had some tremendous answers, and I'm going to get to them. I've read every single one of them. I've thought carefully about the answers that you all have given, but I have to say, first and foremost, you did a tremendous job. Now, I have to apologize also. You can clearly see from behind me, Jorge the party animal is not here. I am not at my home location, but I am making it do with the webcam on the laptop, so the video quality is not going to be that great. The audio quality is probably not going to be that great either, but I'm making it do just for you because I want the Weekly Ringer to be a weekly series no matter what's going on. So we will try to make that happen as much as possible. So anyway, like I said, very, very overwhelmed with the response to the first Ringer. You all had some tremendous answers, and I'd like to take a minute to reflect on those answers right off the bat. So first of all, the question was, the Ringer for week 1 was, what series would you like to see Epic Mickey? And I loved the way that you all took that in so many different directions that I never would have even thought about when I asked the question. When I asked the question, I thought more about what would happen if you gave someone full artistic license to redo a series, and if you could make that choice, what franchise would you make it? And I wasn't really thinking in terms of remakes, and I wasn't really thinking in terms of old licenses that needed to be redone or any kind of thing like that. But you all had that focus, and you all took it in those directions, and I couldn't be happier. So as long as you keep putting answers in like that, I will keep doing the Ringers, and that is my promise to you. So, some of the great responses that were out there. First of all, I have to say I think Tommy James knocked it out of the park. The idea of doing a Popeye reboot, the idea of doing an epic Popeye or an epic Bugs Bunny. I know Bugs Bunny might seem a bit like a cop-out considering Mickey's been done, but those are great answers. I mean, if we're going to look at maybe darkening the series or bringing it, like I said, carte blanche, just being able to completely redo a series with a different creative license. I would love to see a Popeye. I would love to see a Bugs Bunny get completely redone, really throwing out the creative license from this point forward and just saying, let's make this something that's relevant, something that's cool. I love, some of you mentioned some of the video game possibilities. Resident Evil. Couldn't agree more about the story being so stagnant. How many times are they going to make the corporate espionage, Wesker stuff happen every single time? The story really has stagnated, and they really need to take some time to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore. So I couldn't agree more about seeing some of those things, maybe Epic Mickey. But it is kind of dark, and it's already been done in a lot of the ways that I think it probably could be done. So I'm not sure it would probably be a good Epic Mickey-esque kind of remake. Kirby, love the idea of Kirby, but with Epic Yarn coming out, I don't think we'll probably ever see that in our lifetimes. And of course, the one I agree with wholeheartedly that we will never, ever, ever, ever see is Mario Brothers, whether it be Luigi or Mario. Even with something like Luigi's Mansion, I just don't think they're ever going to make an epic Mario kind of series, at least in our lifetimes. Or you never know with video games, maybe 20 years down the line that'll be something they'll do. But I couldn't agree more. It could really use that kind of creative reinterpretation. Miyamoto's interpretation of it is really fantastic. It's why all of us play video games, for many of us. But it might have reached its course, and I would love to see what another creative mind, like say a Ken Levine, to use my own bias, would do with a Mario series. So those possibilities are fantastic. Some of those other things that people talked about, Buffy and Power Rangers and even the Smurfs, or my favorite, the one that made me laugh the hardest, was Pound Puppies. Thank you for that, Arcus. Those are tremendous ideas. But I'll go ahead and get to my answer. My answer for this, what would I like to see Epic Mickey? The answer for me is something that's kind of, this has been done with this particular franchise before to a certain degree. The Thundercats. And the reason I put the Thundercats out there is because the Thundercats show initially was a great premise. It was something that I think really suited that particular time very well. But if you go back and watch the show, it's really not very good. It's very hokey and stupid, like a lot of the 80s shows that we used to watch. But I could really see it with a creative re-envisioning. I could really see that license becoming popular again. I could see them doing really cool things with it. The concept of these people being taken away from their home planet, brought to this place where they're very isolated and alone, trying to just survive the day-to-day while running into all these enemies, and it wouldn't be as hokey as maybe Mumra or any of those kinds of things, but which could be very scary and dark as it was. So maybe it doesn't need to be epic-ized, as a few of you pointed out, I think very correctly. But that's my answer. I would love to see the Thundercats brought to a movie. I have the original, I have the Zero Thundercats comic book from only a few years ago, and it really does a lot of cool creative re-envisioning, and I would like to see that go a little bit further with some creative revisioning with some of those old stories. So that's my answer. Although I have to say, this is not about picking a best answer to this. This is about opinion. But I love the idea of having a Popeye and a Bugs Bunny. That just takes the cake for me. So that's my answer to Weekly Ringer number 1. Now how about posing Weekly Ringer number 2? So I have to it's Christmas time. Like I said, I wanted to wish you all a very Merry Christmas from the Clan of the Grey Wolf, but I want to ask you a Christmas-related question. And my Christmas-related question for this week, that we will answer next week with Ringer number 2, is what is the best Christmas special that's ever been done? Okay, now think about that for a second. This is probably going to be mostly just a TV question, right? But we could really get into all the different media out there. But I think it's probably going to be a TV thing. What's the greatest Christmas special that you remember from a kid that is just the best, that really just gets the job done, something you could even watch now, and it would be funny and entertaining, and something that you would share maybe with your friends or with your kids or things like that down the line? That's the Weekly Ringer number 2. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say before I got off camera is I love how everything turned into a Final Fantasy conversation. That definitely lets me know I need to ask some Final Fantasy questions during the Weekly Ringer. So I'm going to put that one down. I'll mark that down. We'll definitely have some Final Fantasy questions. Don't you worry. But for right